Go.
Yeah, just after kind of the way the first two games played out, just to at the end of the game see every face on your team, get to see the court just kind of handling business the way you did. How good was that to just kind of own a game?
Good to see everybody excited. There was a lot of bench excitement, enthusiasm that we haven't had because they've been last possession, last minute. I think if you had been in our film sessions, you knew it was much needed. Like our kids have been very receptive to coaching. So it was good to be able to have a few kids have some success, do the things that caused those excitement. Got Keats going a little bit there, and got a chance for everybody that played more than 5 minutes to get in and score. Get Emery back in the lineup. She's practiced the last couple of days, so good for everybody. When you look down there and Sam Spencer's trying to win the dance cam competition, you need that. You need to feel good about it. And I think as our kids continue to watch Monroe play and they continue to watch Murray State play, they're going to realize how good of teams those are, and that when you look around the country, everybody has a different philosophy when it comes to scheduling early in the game. So, and listen, Coach Foley, he's obviously – we know what this team's going to look like in January and February. They're going to do what Coach Foley's teams do. They'll roll off a bunch of wins. He's sending a message to a bunch of his players right now, and that shows you what a great program they have for him to be able to do that. He's getting ready to play the gauntlet. If you look at his schedule, he's got, I think, 4 SEC schools still left to play in the next 2 weeks. So, he's a guy we got to get in the Hall of Fame. That's one of my things. I send letters all the time. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's been a Hall of Fame, obviously, for the sport in the state of Arkansas, but he deserves that recognition nationwide.
And then just Miriam, her game tonight, it just seemed like she's just so aggressive going to the rim. I guess how good was that to see her kind of take that next step scoring at least?
Yeah, she does it a lot of times in practice, but then we have, our guys' practice team so physical. Sometimes she can't get up there and finish. This week we kind of made a little switch in the lineup a little bit just to let them wall up instead of block shots. And then, Coach, like I said, Coach didn't play a couple of his big kids tonight. And when they started 5 guards, we tried to kind of pump Miriam up and be real aggressive. And we've all seen those flashes. She'll continue as she gets more at-bats. A lot of baseball reference there. But as she gets more at-bats, you're going to continue to see that on a nightly basis.
And then last thing for me, I know you've said it's just a matter of time before Saylor starts, knocking down threes. She starts off the game making a couple. Just what'd you think of her overall performance? I know she had another, 8 rebound game.
Yeah, and again, if you'd played 30 minutes, that extrapolates out to another double-double. But, I can't explain it. She makes them so routinely in practice. It's a confidence and an in-game thing. The more she sees it going through, that there's going to be an 8 for 10 night sometime in her career. So little baby steps. Keep doing those small things. But 12 points on 8 shots and 8 rebounds and, no turnovers and guarded the other kid, Faith Leaf. She guarded her almost exclusively. I think she's 1 for 10. That's their leading scorer. So, the stuff that Saylor does, when the shot does start going 2 for 4, man, she becomes really a hard matchup. Yeah.
And then, Coach, what clicked defensively early? It's hard to do much better than holding Little Rock to 1 of 11 field goals-wise in the first quarter. What clicked coming out of the gate?
So my associate head coach, Todd Schaefer, I don't know if y'all put all this together, but he used to coach against Coach Foley at the D2 level a lot, and he knows that motion offense. And if you'd been in practice the last 2 days, the concepts that we were going over, we didn't go over any full actions, but we worked on about 3 different concepts, and we had a lot of really good breakdowns. So I think that carried over, obviously minus the first play in which we miscommunicated and they got an uncontested wide open layup. He knows as well as anybody in the country kind of what Coach Foley wants his motion offense to look like. And I thought we did a really good job of taking those elbows away. If you saw our kids, and y'all can talk to Kobe Hale, I borrowed a set of – I'm not a big pregame, visual guy, but I did borrow a set of keeper gloves from our SEC champion soccer team. and talked about our kids at the nail. Coach Todd had talked about them, getting batted balls and feet. And so I jumped in there and said, hey, if we can get, for every batted ball we get, it'll go to our end of the year party fund. It kind of got our kids fired up. So, but Coach Schaefer had a really good game plan, and I thought our kids were hooked up and executed it for the most part all game long.
And then you protected the ball a lot better tonight, 8 turnovers. The players said that was a point of emphasis in practice. How much of a focus was that these last couple of days?
Yeah, well, those of y'all, Grant's been, and Ethan too, came to a bunch of preseason practices. Y'all know we always start out with transition offense, like every day. It's a thing that we've done for 10. Well, I walked in the other day and I said we're having to change it up because we're not functioning very fast, too many turnovers. So I turned to the best ball handler in the history of our program, Amber Nicholas, and told her, you're in charge to get us 5 minutes of ball handling. The first day it took us about 12 minutes to get 5 good minutes. You would not believe how many of these kids that I love so much don't know how to do Globetrotter series and Maravich series, around the leg, around the head, around figure 8. They were looking at me like, what in the hell is happening here? And Coach Shirey's out there, and I'm like, how can Coach Shirey be doing it better than y'all? And she was. So let's turn it over to her. Again, there's never been a better ball handler in the history of our program. Let's use her. And it got a few other coaches out there we were trying to demonstrate. But, I think it's pointing it out. It's just like anything in coaching. What you emphasize the most, you're probably going to get the most. So we really emphasize valuing the ball a little bit and handling it because we knew they can take it from you a lot. And if we'd have been as loose with it as we had been, that number could have been double, again, the 8. So turning to Coach Shirey, and obviously tomorrow when we start practicing for Arkansas State, first 5 minutes of practice, it's going to be Coach Shirey's.
You've talked a lot about this team kind of learning to play together. After 3 games, definitely the best full 40-minute performance. Are you starting to see kind of the team gelling the way you thought it would?
I hope so. I mean, it's shot selection is a year-long battle. It's one of those things. We're still there's times that we got deep in the shot clock there in that second quarter 3 or 4 times, and that's really rare for us. So I'll put my finger on it. I think keeping fresh legs in that spot to push the transition will be big. I don't think we're anywhere close to being where we need to be, but to answer your question, it's better than it has been. I think we will get better at it as the next couple of weeks go along.
I guess game by game, is this a team that you're seeing kind of still growing before your eyes?
And I think you'll continue to. Got a lot of kids playing in new roles. Not very many people, just Mac and Sam. Saylor pretty much the same too. Those 3 kids are the only 3 that had really clearly identifiable goals coming in, like roles. They knew. Every word that comes out of my mouth is still new to Talia, Christina, Jenna, and then a little bit even with Sasha because we've changed some things in the 2 years. So all of that stuff, it takes some time, and we're not – our stuff is not complicated, but it's not simple either. So it does take some time, and I think you will continue to see us get better in a lot of areas, I hope. I did not want us to be – we've peaked way too early at 2 or 3 out of the last 4 years. So I hope we continue to see improvement every single game and not too many steps backward.
You talked about borrowing the keeper gloves from Coach Hale. I'm just wondering, is that kind of your commonplace relationship with some of the other coaches on campus? And is that something that happens often? I know Muss was pulling, inspirational quotes last night from Duke women's coaches and whatever.
Yeah.
But
I don't do a whole lot of it, but I try to, sprinkle it in there for effectiveness. But as to coaches, it is not normal what we have on this campus with each other. I've coached a lot of different universities where I didn't even have everybody's cell number, much less be able to pick the phone up and call in a favor, things like that. But every single one of us, Hunters, the way that we do our meetings, the way that we get together, the times we get together outside of the competition arenas, the way we pull for each other, that is not common. That doesn't happen on very many campuses. So, but we all pull for each other. I mean, and he told me, he said, these keeper gloves. I think he was impressed I knew to call them a keeper gloves, not a goaltender. I think he was most impressed by that. So, and then I knew to call them batted balls. So, but no, it's not common, but around here it is. Everybody pulls for each other and helps each other every way we can.
Not sure everybody knows that Austin Reeves is the second best basketball player from his high school behind Amber.
Not a lot of people would know that. Yeah, and if you talk to people that were around, everybody tells me she was the best seventh grader they've ever seen. Like, she was that good in seventh grade. And that's people I trust. So, yeah, that school has that's a trivia question. You'll win a bar bet with that one.
Yeah, I'll add to that.
Yeah.
Also, talk to Miriam start the season, and physically, she had a long way to come, but she talked about mentally, it being just as tough. Talk about how she overcame that and, kind of to where she's at now.
I think her teammates give her a lot of confidence. I really do. I saw him at the football game. I picked him up and drove him home from the football game, Mac and Sam with her. I think her hanging out with those two specifically, they've been pumping her with confidence on how much we need her for us to be good when the SEC rolls around. She has such a sweetness about her. She's just a sweet, nice kid. And you can't be sweet and nice and expect to dominate around the basket. So I think they've really worked with her on you can do both. And you start to see it a little bit more every day in practice. I think the more games you see like this, that confidence will continue to swell. And everybody wants her to be good. Like, she has everybody pulling for her. You just can't. Every coach has a good relationship, and she's got a way about her that you want to see her succeed.
You talk about her old school post game.
Yeah, she. We've been talking about getting one move and one counter move, get to that midline and turn and jump up over the top of people, but she kind of wants to have her back to the basket a little bit. Everybody thinks that because she shoots threes some of the time that she wants to be out on the perimeter. But as she continues to add strength and mobility and then confidence in her knee, that knee it may not still even be 100%. So, what I think we're going to look back and see, and y'all all know post players in women's basketball, they take a little longer. It just takes a little longer. There's a few, it's the outliers are the ones that come in and that are ready as freshmen. But, I think you're going to see some nights when she makes 4 or 5 threes and has some double-doubles.
One last thing, and then I'll turn it back over. Obviously, you're going to Jonesboro on Friday night. It's a big deal over there.
Big deal.
Let's talk about, how that maybe will prepare you to go into some SEC arenas.
It will prepare us a lot. We went over there already. We went over there the first year, and it was electric. It was electric. I know the history, and that's why I love that game so much. It'll be our first road game. It obviously – is not ideal. I would love to have had one out of the way so we knew how to check in the hotel and we knew how to – all those things that come with it. If you look around the country, I watched a bunch of games last night that going on the road, the parity, the teams that are taking other teams late into games and winning games, this is the most I remember it being this early in the year. So I'm glad we play the game. I'm glad that it happens because I know it'll be – a packed house. It has our kids' full attention already, and they're playing really well. If you watched their last game, it didn't take us very long to come up with enough clips to get our kids' attention.
Izzy's really coming into her own. Talk about how she's played so far.
Well, that to me, that kid in that spot, just with her confidence and her ability, I thought it was a perfect fit, and she always guard 23. Somebody told me that. I know she switched to 23. You always guard 23, man. You gotta have some game to wear that number. But I watched their last game against one of the Northern Illinois, I think is who it was, just dominate the game in the fourth quarter, like lead. And then there's other pieces around. It's not just her. There's some other pieces out there. I think I counted 3 Power 5 transfers, and then you got a lot of Arkansas kids that. I say it, and I don't say it jokingly. I mean, they made a movie the last time they won that game. Made a movie out of it. I watched it, and it's good. So I know a lot of the people over there, they pull for the Razorbacks other than that game, and just like we pull for them. So It'll be a fun one.